It's from outside? Okay. Sounds good. Well, let me think how to go from here. So if someone was to ask me, what do you think the meaning of life is? And I understand these are big ideas, and there was a time when I thought that ideas like this were sort of boring, or they didn't apply to me, or that it was nice to think about them, it was kind of fun, but how do you actually apply them to day-to-day life? That's not the way the real world is. But essentially it seems that whatever we decide, whatever I decide, or whatever each one of us decides is, or how things are, that's what ends up happening. If I say the world is a kind of a fucked up place and that's just how it is, then that's probably what will happen in my experience. And it will be confirmed many times over. People maybe won't be nice to me. And I had this view of the world for quite some time. But actually through experiences like this, through interaction with other people, I was able to see that perhaps how I thought things weren't how they were, because other people didn't think that, and they weren't having the same experiences. I was saying to someone, well, people are, generally everyone's an asshole somewhere deep down inside. This is going back years ago. And it didn't feel good necessarily to think that for me, but it felt easier than believing that I had some amount of responsibility to play in it. And now I was thinking, well, maybe if I say, oh, people love me, I enjoy every day, I have good experiences, then that just helps it sort of happen that's much more easily. And you're saying, well, someone might ask, how could just simple words or what you say in your head actually have an effect over what you experience? Because again, you're taking into consideration that there is no outside. What you decide is happening. And you'd say, someone might say, well, if I meet a person and he says, fuck you, that's not me who made him say fuck you, he said that to me. But if you closed your eyes, you wouldn't be able to see the person that said fuck you. And if you closed off your ears and couldn't hear him, then he not only didn't exist visually, you didn't hear it and it didn't happen. And that's like if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there, did it actually make a sound? Did it actually fall? And so there is some role to play by the person that's being there. That's like someone could meet a friend and say, that's a really great guy, he's really nice, I loved him. And someone else would say, what are you talking about? I met that guy, he's an asshole. You say, well, I had good experiences with him. So what is he? Is he a nice guy? Is he an asshole? Who decides once and for all? We each decide for ourselves who someone is and what someone is, including ourselves. Coming from a past myself of feeling very angry at times, or maybe hateful would be a better word, towards other people, towards situations, and feeling a sense of power from having those ideas, it became equally thrilling more recently, over the last 6 years, to challenge ideas about what felt bad or what I felt I hated, and to try to focus on them, in fact, and overcome them. I think what happens, and maybe we'll all agree on this, because this seems pretty straightforward. We're born as an infant. We have a very limited sense of experience to process, and we're very young, so everything's very new. And then upon getting a little older, maybe like the age of a toddler, into 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we start to see how we can make choices about things. We can come up with ideas about what things are, what we like, what we don't like, and that's equally thrilling. It's probably the first time that we're able to start reasoning in that way. And let me take a whole step aside here and say, I have no idea what I'm talking about. But that's a big part of this whole idea. So I'm not trying to teach anything. I'm just rambling on about ideas that I thought were exciting. So hopefully these things people can relate to in some point or another. So then as you're getting even older, and then into, I think, adolescence, being a teenager, there comes a great sense of power from being able to really define yourself, your identity, what you experience, by what we like and what we don't like, to a very extreme degree. And perhaps that earlier version of ourselves, where someone might say, I was so carefree when I was real little back in elementary school. I was always happy, always having fun, or maybe not, but that there was a more open version of experience where we weren't constantly just saying what we liked and what we didn't like. We weren't making definitive statements necessarily about what was good, what was bad. That sucks, that's good, I like this, that person's not. we weren't ordering, but there was a sense of power, a real thrill in that later stage, maybe high school, maybe it happens at different times for everybody, but I think most people seem to think that in high school we really start to build an idea of who we are based on, I like this kind of music, I don't like that. This kind of stuff is good, this is not. These people are evil, these people are good, I'm one of the good ones or one of the evil ones, I suppose. But whatever is floating your boat is the direction it's going to go. This is where I think it comes crucial. At some point, we're either going to hold on to that mindset that we've developed around that first teenage experience. We're going to either hold on to that and ride it out for the rest of our lives, saying to ourselves that we've learned how the world really is. Eventually, you grow up and you just learn how the world really is. And it's going to be whatever you say it's going to be. It's whatever you want it to be. The person like I was going who said, well, it's just sort of a fucked up place, and it's, there's evil in the world and there's bad things always happening. And sure enough, I was seeing that over and over and over again by declaring that's what it was. But at some point it became just as exciting to say, well, maybe all along I've still been wrong, and maybe I really don't have any idea what's going on, and maybe instead of feeling courageous and sort of bold and confident about knowing what is, about saying this is good, this is bad, I know, maybe it became more thrilling to completely second guess that and say, I have no idea what is going on, and this is an opportunity to completely start from fresh before I get burned out. I had a lot of people when I was younger that would say to me, oh, well, you think that way now, it's nice, you're being all happy, but when you get a little older, you'll see how the world really works, and you'll lose this happiness that you have because it's a fucked up place. And that person, I think, is no wrong. They were gaining a lot of pleasure from that, so any way we want to think is perfectly okay. But I didn't want to go there. I wanted to feel better all the time, and I thought that was possible. And they would say maybe, oh, well, you can't expect to feel good all the time. That's unrealistic. There's ups and downs in life. That's how it goes. But again, that's a belief. If we say that there's ups and downs in life, then there will be ups and downs in life. If we say it's all one up, it'll be all one up. If it's all one decline, it'll be all one decline. It's whatever we want it to be. It's the way the mind seems to work. So at some later stage, we have that choice, and we continue to have that choice to reaffirm, to change our mind, or to make up something new. That's I think, the idea of change in general, is that it's a choice. It doesn't happen on its own. It happens by people making a decision to do it. The decision to feel good is a decision. It doesn't happen by other people's influence. That's why someone says, sticks and stones may break my bones, names can never hurt me. Because they made the choice to not allow it to hurt them. It's not just because they're words, it's because we've decided that fun feels better than not having fun. We decide that being in love with something, that liking a song, is more thrilling than saying we hate that song. And we decide that being friends with people, that being able to enjoy someone's company is ultimately better feeling, just a better physical feeling than not liking someone, than hating someone. Everyone in this room, I think we could say, ultimately, no matter how much we try to deny it deep down inside, we all are going after the same thing, which is some kind of meaning and love. And that one similarity that connects everybody is all it should ever take. It's the most fundamental level of experience for humans. And that's the one thing that's often most overlooked in favor of all these very obvious, some would say, surface differences, like the way someone looks, the way someone thinks, the way what their beliefs are versus other beliefs. But at the core of it, all we want is love. We want to be cared for, we want to be appreciated, we want to feel special, and that is good to want that, because that's what allows us to connect with other people, I think. And the people that are trying to separate us, that try to say you're A or you're B, you're on this side or the other, it's either good or bad, they're trying to hold us back into that larger view that says the pole is not 10 feet away, it's not over there, over here. 10 years, it's not 10 years. It's one constant experience of love. And that's what we can all relate to. The confusion that takes us away from that is the confusion that pulls us into sadness. It's not a knowing. Confusion is not the opposite of knowing. Confusion is not ignorance. Confusion is a state where we don't make a decision about how to feel, and we fall into, maybe some would say, not believing or feeling anything. And that numbness can take away the human's ability to love, maybe, or to appreciate love. Total love You don't say you like everything. You don't, I'm not saying you hear a song that you don't like and you force yourself to say, oh, I like it. It's saying that you love your ability to not like the song. You're thankful that there's something that's so different from what you would do that it gives you a choice to do the other thing. And that the range of experiences of what people are doing, of the music that people are making, is so vast that you can do your own thing and follow the golden rule and let someone else do what they're going to do. And if everybody was doing what you were doing, it probably wouldn't be as exciting because you wouldn't have that rush of individuality. So you'd say, it's not that you love every person, you have total love for every person. It's not that you love every song, every place, every experience. You have a total love for the vastness of reality, for the variation and diversity that seems to cross over all the biggest ideas. There's always another way to be, and to embrace that, just to love that fact, is what I think total love is. That's compassion. That's being able to appreciate everybody. I was at the airport in Los Angeles, and I felt very angry. And there was a woman that earlier had been yelling at a stewardess, and she was huffy and puffy and puffing out her cheeks, and the whole scene was upsetting to me, and I was feeling anxious, and I was feeling her anxiety. And then later I saw her at the baggage carousel getting her bags, and she seemed kind of tense and looking around, and she actually probably looking like I was looking, sort of tense and trying to pinpoint somebody to put my aggression on, to blame her for a bad vibe, essentially. And then I tried to be aware of my feeling bad, and I tried to look into her eyes. She didn't notice me doing this, but I was looking into her eyes, and I tried to think of her as a child who all they wanted was to be loved. And all that feeling of anger and annoyance at her, and like she's an idiot, she's stupid, it just went away. Because all she was trying to do was find love, some convoluted way perhaps. But that's all she wanted. And if I accepted that and valued that in her, then she allowed me that same freedom, and we could let each other do our own thing. So the golden rule in that way, to treat others as you want to be treated, that pretty much, I think, can solve any conflict, as long as we keep it in mind, and the discipline that it takes to keep that at the forefront of thought. So when you're about to have that angry interaction or that confrontation, you say, was this what I would want someone to do to me? And if your answer is yes, I'd want someone to yell at me, or I'd want to have this bad experience, then you certainly should go through and do so. But the idea is, if it doesn't feel better, if you say that emotion is not good, then you have the choice and you have the ability, we all have it, to change it. Change, when it comes down to that level, can seem very easy. And the beauty of it is the big changes, like changing the world, they really do, I think, start from that level. Of everybody going out from here today into the rest of the show today, into the rest of the weekend, into the rest of your experiences. But even if we could just focus on today, the next time we see someone that's annoying, even if it's me right now, to try and be aware of why we think that, be aware if it feels good, and if it does not feel good, focus on some other aspect. Like you're listening to a song that you hate because the lyrics are not okay, or the guy's voice or voice runs the wrong way. You can change your silly one, you don't get a problem. So I'm easy to laugh at, like that, maybe or that first cut, it's gonna have a lot of parasite. And although I'm not gonna do it is that I don't want, but I'm gonna look for the things I don't want, I'm gonna look for the things I do enjoy. It's not that those things don't exist anymore, but they might as well not to your experience. If I've wondered about this, I'm really curious to see what you think about this. Is there a difference between anti-war and pro-peace? I would say, well, is there a difference between fighting against what you don't want and fighting for what you do want? I think, again, it's that focus. What are you focusing on? You're focusing on what you don't want to have happen. That will fill your experience. And that can be, again, very exciting. But if we focus on what we do want, then all of a sudden, the emotions that associate ourselves with goodness of what we love and enjoy are blossoming up and booming out. And the bad feelings are just not involved because we're not making those kind of judgments. We're not making those kind of decisions about what we don't like. We're just focusing on what we want to have happen. And you say, well, these things happen whether I want them to or not, and I just see it. If I see someone I don't like down the street or I hear a song, there's nothing I can do if I turn on the radio and there happens to be a song that I'm playing, that they're playing that I don't care for. The point is that it wouldn't have happened if you had been thinking about wanting to hear a song that you did like. How many times have you turned on the radio almost thinking of a song specifically and found it on the dial? Has that ever happened?
Yep.
Well, that's not just coincidence, I don't think. I don't think it's just random. I think you had some part to play in that happening. Because even just by your ear being there at the right place and time to hear that song was an active participation by you. This lecture would not exist. Me talking right now would not exist if you weren't here. And you'd say, well, maybe I wasn't here, but the next guy would be here and that would still be happening. But it wouldn't have happened for you. It wouldn't have existed for you. This right now is a collaboration of all of us deciding what's going to happen and making the choice to have it happen. We have power to decide how it feels to be us. With that power, we make reality, I think. I'd like to now see if anybody has any specific questions that they would like to ask, and it can be anything. And I'm just going to...
How's your knee?
I did something to it. Yeah, I did something to it. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
We can mark briefs and why.